Hi everybody, John Mortensen from the Pet Door Store here, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Hale pet door for walls. This is one of our favorite pet doors that we sell, and the reason why is because we can do all kinds of cool installations with this pet door. But first things first, let's talk about the flaps. The flaps on this door are really well sealed, and they are flaps, plural. You can get a flap on the inside of the wall and a flap on the exterior of the wall. And that's going to give you a double barrier to the wind and the cold and everything else. So that's the way to go if you have a lot of weather. If you're in Southern California, get the single flap. It's actually a very good single flap because it has magnets down the sides and across the bottom. And then there's kind of a fuzzy weather stripping in between the magnets that seals the flaps to the frame. Number one question we get about double flaps is, I've got a cat and I've got a lab. So if you have a lab-sized dog door like this one, can a cat get through it? And the answer to that is an unequivocal yes. Absolutely, your cat can push it open. I mean, if you just think back to the last time you had to take your cat to the vet and you grabbed the cat and you grabbed the carrier and you tried to put the cat in the carrier, or you should remember how strong they are. They have enough strength to push these open. What happens here is the first flap hits the second flap, and then they both move open together. And essentially, a cat's just carrying the weight of this flap. Now, it's just not heavy enough to make it that big of a deal for a cat to use these. But that's just the flaps and everything. Let's talk about what makes this door so cool in terms of customizing and that sort of thing. We can change just about everything on this door. For one thing, we've got colors. So there's 4 colors. I'm gonna bring this up close to the camera, and hopefully this will be a little more clear. The 4 color options are: we've got a brushed aluminum. Now it's kind of beige in here and it's low light, but this is a brushed aluminum like the bottom of a Coke can. We have bronze, which is like black coffee. I mean, it's like an oil rubbed statue bronze, not like a bronze medal at the Olympics bronze. Arizona beige. Tough to describe beige, but coffee with 2 creams in it is probably pretty close. And then white. Now this white is not eggshell. This is a bright white. So those are your color options. Now, you don't just get to choose a color and call it a day. You get to choose 3 colors. If you want the interior frame to be white and the exterior frame to be bronze, no problem. If you would like a beige locking cover to go with that color combination, no problem. You get to choose the color on all those pieces individually. So that's pretty cool. Now, when you install these pet doors, this tunnel comes at 10 inches deep. And what you do essentially is you take this exterior frame off and you cut your hole in your wall, and then you stick this thing through the wall, and whatever hangs out on the outside, you just mark that off with a Sharpie, and then trim this tunnel to the depth of the wall, and then you take this and screw it back on. Now, this will actually cover over the rough edge that you've cut. And when you cut these, a lot of people are a little worried about, well, I've never dealt with metal before, is it tough to cut? It's really not. What you need is a pair of tin snips, and if you go to the hardware store, they're in the plier section. And a decent set of tin snips, if you've never used them before or don't have them, they'll cost you maybe $25, $30. And this stuff is aluminum and it's pretty thin, so it's not hard to cut. It's basically just like cutting really heavy paper. It'll leave a rough edge, but like I said, this plugs in past the rough edge and then screws together. So this actually, in a sense, it really doesn't attach to your wall at all. It attaches to it, the 2 frames attach to the tunnel through the wall. So that's kind of cool. Now, another way that you can customize this thing is with this carpet. Now this carpet goes inside the tunnel when it's all done, and even this can be had in a couple of different color options. So, I mean, there's just the combinations are pretty astonishing. Now, another common issue that you have with pet doors for walls is the locking cover. So this has a pretty typical locking cover. If you've had a pet door before, you've probably seen these. So this slides down in. There's pin locks, and you can't lift it out from the outside, which is better than most. But it's kind of your typical pet door locking cover. Suppose you want to install this thing underneath a cabinet or underneath a windowsill. Well, once you get it in there, if your windowsill is here, this is not going to come in and out. So I Another way we can customize this pet door is when you're going through the order process, you say, I would like my locking cover to slide in on the right, or I would like my locking cover to slide in on the left, and we can do that for you. So that's another really cool option that we have. You know, I realize now, and I forgot to mention it, this tunnel is 10 inches wide, but you can actually get a 16-inch wide tunnel. That's a 10% surcharge for that. But if you live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and you have an adobe house with really thick walls, or if you're in Florida with concrete block and your walls are 12 inches thick, we got you covered there too. This does come with this rain cap as well. Now this piece is like a little awning for the pet door, and it just sits on the top here. And if you're in Seattle, like we are here, and the rain just kind of drizzles down 95 days out of 100, this will cover up the flap and keep it from getting rain directly on. If it's driving rain, it's not going to help that much, but you know, it'll keep the rain off, and the flap itself is good enough so that rain is not going to get in the tunnel and really just sit in there very often. So the most customizable, the most impressive thing about this door, after all the other stuff that we've already talked about, is the sizes. So we have 11 different standard sizes. So you've got a little 5.5 by 7.5 small, all the way up to a 15.5 inch wide, 27.5 inch tall, which will fit 220-pound bull mastiff without any issues at all. But it gets even better. So if one of those 11 sizes that they offer doesn't do it for you, we can have this custom built. Now, let's just say you have a door that's been discontinued, a dog walk door or an ideal insulator pet door, one of the other ones that's come and gone over the decades that pet doors have been sold. You got the hole already cut in the wall. You probably already got it all finished out. You don't really want to mess with the hole size at all. Well, basically all you really need to do is measure the hole in the wall, tell us what size you got, and we can have this built to fit what you have, which is really cool. Now, when you do that, there is one thing to be careful of, and that's the hole on the inside and the outside might not be exactly the same size, because people are using saws, and especially if it's going through stucco or something, that's it's not exactly easy to get a perfectly straight cut. So what we recommend that you do is measure the inside of the house and the outside of the house and get the smallest width and the smallest height that you can out of both of those measurements, and then that's what you want to send us for your requirements. And we will have this pet door made, and it'll just slide right in. Trim the tunnel section to the right depth, and screw it together and call it a day. So that's a pretty good deal. If you have any questions at all on custom types of installations or anything like that, or just if you have a question, just a regular question before you want to place an order, my name's John. My number is 866-377-3667. You can email me at sales@petdoorstore.com, and there's a chat function on the website now. It's kind of down in that custom section, near the custom section. It's a floating button, so as you scroll up and down, it stays about 2/3 of the way down the screen. Click on that sucker, and you'll be chatting with me instantly. Thanks very much for watching.